is Why My Business Works, the podcast for creative business owners building their business their own way. We talk to interior designers and architects running firms of all shapes, sizes, ages, origins, and philosophies to show there is no prescription for success. Business is both an art and a science, and no one else has a business exactly like yours. I'm Megan Dolly, strategist, CFO, and your hostess. Today, I am joined by the creative forces behind White Noise Studio, a design trio whose friendship turned into a business. Rddhima Golyan, Utsav Shah, and Sanjana Paramhans first crossed paths at the Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, where late night studio sessions and balcony conversations planted the seeds for what would one day become White Noise Studio. What makes them stand out isn't just their work, but it's the way they work. 3 partners, 3 different strengths. I want the audience to hear the affection you have for each other in your voices. What struck me most is how intentional you are about staying in the weeds with your projects. What client doesn't want 3 fantastic design brains battling it out for the best design in their house? So you're sketching, sourcing, debating colors, rugs, and light fixtures, because design is never a hands-off process. It's a collaboration with clients and each other. Please welcome the dynamic team of White Noise Studio. I have been looking forward to this. I love the way you talk about each other. We'll start with the data and then we'll get into the good stuff. Would you mind telling us how long you've been in business?
We started laying the seeds in 2020.
What does the staff look like? Is it the 3 of you? Do you have contractors, bookkeepers? What's going on in the background?
We have a network of artisans and freelancers. There are 3 core team members, that's me and Rddhima, that are, as you said, working on every project in the weeds. And then we have like a rotating team around us, depending on what each project requires. In terms of admin, we have Utsav takes care of most of that, but we do have
We have bookkeepers, financial help, because taxes are no easy thing. As designers, even though we try to understand it as much as we can, we don't want to keep that in-house because someone else knows better.
I've been in accounting for 20 years and I won't touch my taxes.
Exactly.
We also have some lawyer help as well, just in case legal purposes. I think it's everything design unrelated plus that, which we also learned as we went along for the ride.
Lots of learning along the way. What is the size range of your projects? How small do you get? How big do you get?
We don't look at a project in terms of size. We look at it in terms of the scale and the scope of work. We treat our work like a collaborative front with the client. While we have done projects which are as big as 6,000 square foot to as small as 400 square foot, for us, it's the journey, the project itself. So I don't think it's the scale. We would be happy to do a small pop-up space. The story and the journey with the client to achieve the goal, I think, makes the difference to us.
Yeah, the concept matters more than the size of production. It could be as small as a photo booth space, but if it is something imaginative, if it is something creative, then we're super excited to do it.
Do you have a specific niche you work in?
We do a lot of residential and hospitality. We do a lot of restaurants. Our niche is experiential, whether in hospitality or residential design, affecting a person's well-being who's occupying the space, So I think our niche is to understand spatial experiences.
Do you have a preferred pricing model, like flat rate, hourly? How do you work?
We've tried different things, but it depends on the project, it depends on the situation. We'd be, of course, flexible a little bit, but preferred would definitely, I think, be hourly.
Consultation.
Yeah.
How did you 3 pick each other?
We met at Pratt pursuing interior design. We were not in the same year, and Utsav was doing architecture at Pratt. And then once I graduated, I started working at a different firm and got in there along with me. And so we started building this collaborative team way before we even started our journey as business partners. Those years was formative for us to understand how each other works, to complement each other. And then we were just like, we make such a great team. We should be doing more with this. was on board and he was like, yeah, let's do it. So we did.
A distinct memory of how we became friends was a trip to San Francisco. It was one of the holidays during Pratt, like a spring break or something. So the weather was great, and we just said, okay, we'll go. I think that was the trip we also went to Napa Valley for the day. But it was the mischievous things we did running around the streets of San Francisco that solidified the friendship. Taking a step back from work brought us together more as friends. So the trust component was big for us.
There's something about travel that accelerates a relationship as to whatever path it's going to go. If this is not a fit for friends, you're going to find out real fast. If these are your besties for life, you're going to find out real fast.
That's
Yeah.
so
Change the flight and extend it as well, but it was just not working out. We had finals and all the fun stuff, but yeah, it worked out.
All right, find more friends in line. Just be like, hey, you
Trip
seem
with
fun.
them.
Let's travel.
If it doesn't work out, yikes, make sure you have take it both.
Your approach to design feels like a balance between the function and appreciation for the art of it, along with the function of what your clients are going to be using it for. So, do you find that your clients are more appreciative of the art form itself?
I feel like that's something we try to rub off on them, really. Our experience has been a demand of 100% efficiency or function. And I think we're trying to introduce this conversation like things still being ornate and ornamental, even if they don't serve 100% efficient purpose. If you look at interiors of castles and palaces, they were so ornamented. We lost that to like super clean lines and minimal. So I think it's a give and take. Of course, you cannot compromise function, but we're trying to make more room for ornamentation and not have it seem unnecessary.
Talk to me about the collaboration when you pick up a client, there's a new project and three of you are coming together. How does this work for you?
I think we begin each project with understanding what the client really wants. So we typically start with maybe a survey to understand what their needs are and to also understand what their personalities might be, even through conversation and through sending a survey to understand what their routines might be on a Saturday, whether they call friends over, early risers, or late night people. All of these things help us to understand who they are as people, and really that empathy is important to design for them. Once we understand the person, we start designing.
We see these projects as three stages, but there's a lot of porosity between them. Utsav's really, really good at client relationships and understanding what it is that they need, not just for residential clients, but for hospitality as well. Almost creating like a business strategy via design, how this brand needs to be positioned in the market, and gives Rddhima and I a blueprint on his understandings. And then we get onto the drawing board based on that. Design is intense, like, you're creating iterations and seeing what's sticking and what's not sticking. But once we see that it's reached a place that we're good with, Rddhima is a construction whiz. You can look at anything and she'll tell you how it's going to be built. That's what allows us to create experiences and designs. The thought process is set, and then I design it, and then I know Rddhima is going to build it. Like, it works in great tandem.
We inform each other's processes. It's not just me trying to understand the client, it's all of us on that initial call. And then they are all also obviously feeding me some thoughts and ideas. Same when I was designing or detailing, we are part of that process.
We have different strong suits. If it's stuck, I learned early on, instead of spinning your wheels, talk to one person for 10 minutes and bam, solution. Instead of spending 6 hours circling in your brain and panicking, sometimes just the conversation moves it along.
Yeah.
And like, I
Yeah.
think that's what we didn't learn working for anyone else. Just a phone call. Are you free for 2 minutes? Okay, sounds good. Bye.
That's interesting because my curiosity led to, okay, we have 3 primo designers at an hourly rate. That's expensive. But then I also think of other designers on their own, spend evenings, sit on the couch while the family's watching TV and they're thinking about that last fixture they can't find. There's comfort in having somebody that has your back.
100%. It's like a bouncing board of ideas. I think all of us feel super confident having each other. As a team, I always feel like we can figure whatever needs to be figured out, it will be figured out.
Yeah. I sometimes think if we had gone individually, I don't think I would have done anything on my own.
I wouldn't
It
have
wouldn't have
signed
been
to
possible.
start a company. We'll figure it out. We'll give this a shot. And if something was to happen, one of us will figure it out. But if it was me alone, the first 2, 3 months were not easy. It's super exciting. Oh, you started a company. Internally, 3 of us were like, now what? We we didn't
What
even
were
understand
what
the
were some of those?
dynamic. Admin wise, the big question mark. Finding the name of the company might have been easier.
Or even the licensing, like getting all that. We were especially challenged in those areas. Utsav is more passionate. We were thinking about this yesterday. If there was something we knew before getting into it, what would it be? Rddhima and I were saying that I wish we knew like all the circles around lawyers, taxes. Utsav had something interesting to say that shifted our perspective.
No, I just think it's good we didn't know this before. If we knew, we probably wouldn't have started. These 2 girls were like, let's just start into the unknown. It felt like, what are we doing? But they took that chance. And I think, yes, of course, there were a lot of unknowns along the way and these things that we didn't know. I wish we were a little bit prepared, but it's good we figured it out along the way. Otherwise, it would have been overwhelming
We
to
didn't
just
have
start off.
anyone to ask questions. I think
Mhm.
that's where we got circled around because that's not our forte. Where do we go was the question.
It's a unique situation. 3 immigrants together.
Mm.
Surviving and making it as an immigrant is difficult enough with everything that you have to do, let alone like start a business. And the help that we did have also was not in the same situation. Things legally work out differently for immigrants. Figuring that out was difficult.
Easy part was doing the project.
I think the easy part has been working.
Yeah, definitely.
That amazing tenacity. It takes tenacity to get through that abyss. You jump off the cliff, keep going.
We're swimming. Hopefully, everyone knows how to swim.
That's great. At the bottom of the abyss was water, not
God.
rocks.
I'm a positive thinker.
Was there a point where you did start swimming where you're like, we got this is gonna work?
I think it's when we started getting a few projects. The first project, you're unsure about who you are and what you're doing. Maybe the first 2 or 3 projects, but then when you start getting 2 or 3 projects simultaneously, that's when you're like, okay, maybe I've got this. Isn't that right? What do you guys think?
When we see a happy client at the end of the project, that does it all. You don't get the same satisfaction. But then you see a happy client and that does it. We're doing something right. We just have to deep dive and figure out what.
As you might know, like the interior design architecture business, a lot of clients you actually do just get from word of mouth, right? There's only so much amount of advertising that you can do that will work. I think the biggest source in projects is word of mouth. And when someone starts referring you as a good experience, as a good design after living in it, that's when you know you're like, okay, so I think that went well, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
because there's no other way to know it went well. There's not many direct metrics like some professions. For lawyers, it's very black and white. Someone won the case or didn't go simple. For us, it's more subjective.
The first project Sanjana and I did together, I spoke to the client last week. Their apartment's still looking good. Things are still holding up.
Projects with the same client after. That is the biggest testimonial. We enjoy the process of working with us and the work produced. That means we should continue what we're doing.
I want to get to the part where you brag about clients, favorite projects, your instincts. Talk yourselves up. What's going on?
Where do we start?
Brag about a client.
We're currently working on a project in the works for almost 3 years. It's just getting done. It's been the most fulfilling journey. I can't take my client's name, but he's taught us so much as we've given him. What do you guys think? For me, I think so.
Yeah, great client. It's been one of those, you never hear about such clients. We have learned a lot from him. Hopefully, he's learned from us. It's been a great collaboration. We're about 4 to 5 months from it getting done.
I think
We're gonna
what we
miss.
like about him is his quirks. There are things we were not done before, which are fun to do. Like, for example, a sauna. I've never done a sauna in a home before. Let's do it. That was the first thing. I want a sauna in the home.
Mm.
So it's, things like that. Like he has his passion towards art. So I guess opening the door of exploring more of what the art world has to offer.
I always tell him this project has taken 3 years, more than a master's degree. What we started 3 years ago and now is so different because of this client and project and the way he urged us to think creatively by showing trust in us. I think he really took a chance on us. And so,
And I
yeah.
think that's why it's fun to do small things. You're picking hardware for cabinets, lots of work to figure out what would be the perfect fit. And this is sort of the last finishing touches we're at. So here we are 3 years later. We want the best for his house.
Yeah. It's been 3 years and I don't think he hates us yet, which is a big thing. So yeah.
That sounds great. This collaboration between the trust, like he has this trust for you, and also like, here's some a challenge. Good
Yeah,
luck. I'm curious to see how this turns out. Let me know if you need help.
that's exactly how it's been, and we appreciate that so much.
This business is coming together, found each other, you're finding clients that are rewarding to work with. What have been some of the challenges in the industry or working as a team of three?
It's a competitive industry. One of the first few challenges that we faced, just the amount of competition is a
Mm,
little bit cutthroat in a
mm,
city like New York.
We started young to do this by ourselves. Like, I think majority of the competition that we're talking about is also in the older age frame. So they also have, like, even one of the employers I worked with, he was like, this was 7 years ago, he was already 75. He's done projects 4 times than I still have completed at that point. So, like, for him, it's been there, done that. He has his standing clients and connections. What we sort of took a chance on saying that we'll figure it out as we go along.
I think in this industry, it was difficult for us to be taken seriously. We started off so young, even though each one of our job experiences were such that we were managing a lot more. When we were by ourselves, people kind of saw us as like, young kids. They might not know what they're really doing or what their experience is. And for Rddhima and me, especially being women in construction fields, is
Mm.
really challenging. I remember constantly thinking in meetings, even until 2 years ago, that I want them to take me more seriously, because it's such a male-dominated industry. Starting young and not being taken seriously.
Do you want to talk about that story, that challenge?
What challenge?
Uh,
God, I don't know if you want to include this in your podcast, but I'll share it. This current project with the 3-year timeline. Now, it went this long because, like, a series of unfortunate events. There was just weird stuff happening. I'm going to tell you one of these weird situations. So, Rddhima, I have been working on this project for 1 year now. There is a building architect. Most buildings, they have an architect they hire to confirm the plans
compliant.
to the
Yeah.
build, extra plumbing and stuff. We were working with this architect for a year back and forth, and he was giving us a tough time. He wouldn't respond for months, and then if he would respond, he would the most odd clarifications. But anyways, we were just compliant and we were sending stuff in. We met him a couple of times. I was in India and I got a call from the building manager, and he was like, "Did you read the news?" And I was like, "I'm in India, not catching up on the news in America." He was like, "Got arrested." I was like, "What?" Maybe money laundering or like, white collar fraud or something like that. I was like, wait, what did he get arrested for? And these are the words of the building manager. He was like, he was a serial killer.
It came on New York Times.
Almost vomited when I got that call. We don't know who we're working with. We've spent
Yeah.
so much time with this guy.
And he was targeting women in their 20s. And he's now in jail. He got arrested. Glad, so happy. One of our bigger challenges too,
Yeah,
on the topic of
it
challenges.
was really difficult to come back from
Yes. So was there like a part of you that was like, now that you have distance, it's like, yeah, that fits.
No, when I met him, we all had this impression there was something off about him, but not like serial killer. How do you even understand
Yeah,
that?
I met him for the first time. I shook his hand and telling Sana right after that meeting, he seems a little weird. He never smiled too much, which is what you would normally think. There's a lot of people like that. So you never assume more than that. You just think
Right.
they are a grumpy old person. Exactly. This was so unexpected.
When we speak of challenges, it was really difficult for us to come back from that because this industry is kind of like that. If you think of a lot of contractors, especially in New York, it's like they have their own little syndicates. That made us think maybe we should be working in a corporate office. Maybe we shouldn't be meeting 100 random
I
people.
remember going to job site like where they close up the windows in commercial places.
Yeah.
Only people with hard hats are allowed to enter. Then I remember the next day going to a job site and I'm like, can you track me? Because if you don't find me in 1 hour, there's a problem. And you know where I am. So 1 hour, high alert, or like call me. And if I don't pick up, and the thing was, there was no signal if you keep walking inside. If I don't have signal, 10 minutes later, just don't leave me. That came from the fear of you just never know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, I guess it was like, I don't know if I wouldn't say naive, but we didn't think of it. How do you read someone's personality of saying, oh, you're a serial killer? Great.
You're either going to walk around paranoid, everybody's a serial killer, and move on and keep going.
Yeah, and we could have lived with the money laundering or fraud because I feel like that's more common than, oh, let me just kill you. Yeah, I don't know. That's
Okay, there's going to be the sound. That's the sound clip right there.
We could live with money laundering, not murder.
not
Yeah.
by me, by
That's
someone
where
else.
we draw the line.
This
Okay.
specific incident set us back almost 4 months in the project. There were a few other things that slowed progress. It's been one of the most rewarding projects, even in spite of that.
Seeing the end product and your client's reaction, that's got to be really rewarding no matter what came before.
100%.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the business side. When you were first coming up and structuring it, and you have some teams around you, what would you say is some of like the biggest risks that you've had to encounter as you grew as a business?
Being immigrants, our biggest risk was walking away from jobs. Families here don't have that safety net. Each one of us held on to our day job as long as we could, working 12, 15 hours a day. I remember in 2020, we had moved to LA for a bit, Utsav in New York, working for our current employers then. We were also on a project and I was doing my master's online. I remember pulling 16-hour work days and stuff like that. And I think we all did that until we got to a point where we're like, okay, I think I can quit my job. Now,
Yeah.
this part of the business requires more from me. If I was in my own country, I would have quit my job much sooner and settled into this business much easier, much better, not with constantly feeling like it might not work out. What am I going to do if it doesn't work out? I feel agreeing to quit her job to give more to this team and this business is the riskiest decision we've ever made.
Yeah.
the best one.
Yeah.
What's next for White Noise Studios?
Company retreat.
End of the year, we started doing a retreat or vacation for the three of us every year. This year's not happened yet, so end of year, we are really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and then we'll regroup and see what comes next. As a team, we've learned over the last 2, 3 years is not to say yes to everything, be more selective and make way for bigger things, hoping for bigger things.
Yeah.
All right. So, didn't know this question is coming. If you were to shout out your 3 favorite designers, architects, people who have inspired you, who would those be?
I recently worked with this artist on one of the projects, and she's a local artist based in Brooklyn. Her name is Ivy Flock. And wow, she makes handmade stuff with tiles. She can just really imagine whatever it is that you need to create. I think she's a great artist, and I wish more people knew of her than they do. And if we're talking about like the classics or the great, I am super inspired by Gaudi and his work.
Beautiful.
Go ahead.
Anything you want to add?
I would second Gaudi for sure. If you were to talk about famous or favorite architects, Gaudi, I have been getting to know him more in detail in the last year or two as well. The way he uses details so unusual, ahead of his time, the use of color, the concepts, everything he did was genius. Gaudi would be a big one. One of my closest friends, and then my dad would be some of my biggest inspirations too, because I think both are architects. So my dad's an architect, so I grew up seeing this profession as well, which was crazy. My dad always told me not to get into it, and I still did. My friend who I grew up with in college, Sana and Rddhima, Dheeraj, seeing him start his own business in India, he went back home and started his own business, has been a real inspiration too. Seeing their journeys up close has been really nice.
For me, the biggest
Rddhima,
sorry, I was
really?
like, I can keep going. This one's hard, but I'll talk about one person for me who changed it in the big form. I think like growing up, I always knew I would do something in arts and design field. It was not for sure what it would be. And one of the professors at Pratt really changed it for me. His name's Alex Schwitter. It was like surprising because he just knew everything about everything. He's so intellectual, like very like the personality also very outgoing. He sort of went out and about to help us in any way he could. And the thinking was very different. And he is a spatial architect. He does a mix of interior spatial experiences, and he's been doing it for like years. I've also seen pieces in downtown Manhattan and upstate New York. The way he challenged me to make it more interesting in the spatial setting, that's when I sort of knew, okay, I could maybe do this for a living. It was more so not only for school, but it was like, okay, this could be fun.
You got that boosted confidence from those who came before you, who you get to work with now. That just keeps you going.
Yep.
Anything you would want potential clients to know about you?
We are approachable and like to be collaborators as opposed to, just a designer client relationship. So we want to be friends, really. I think that's something that I want potential clients to know.
We have our set of people we would reach out to because we're comfortable with them. Hope our clients feel the same about us. That's what we aim for. The initial phases of meeting and chatting about the project helps us understand them as well so we can connect more than just the project. Home is very personal to everyone. How do we make it collaborative and fun for them without being overbearing? That's also like, yeah.
Sounds great. You guys have wins for you vendors and the artist clients. You've got something beautiful.
Thank you
Enjoy
much.
being with you today.
Hello.
Thank you for listening to Why My Business Works. I hope you found ideas, perspectives, and courage to do things your way. Until next time, I'm Megan Dolly, rooting for you.